So this is an illegal anti-slice gold driver from Japan, and it's not every day you say that. The reason this driver is illegal because it is 500cc, that is 500 cubic centimeters, which is 40cc over the usual legal limit of 460cc. Maths. The bigger a driver becomes, the more potential it has to be forgiving because you can push the weight and you can push the center of gravity further back in the club. To give it its full name, the Wazaki Cyclone 3 titanium closed face draw driver to a normal style driver, you can see there is a bigger footprint going on there, but it's maybe not as dramatic as you would imagine. Now stay tuned because I'm going to be putting this illegal driver up against a legal driver, also another one which has a draw bias. Also stay tuned because we are going to be doing the code word to be entered into the monthly giveaway. Well, the first drive with the anti-slice driver is a slice. When you stick this driver down behind the ball, it looks, it doesn't look great. So this was £180 from Amazon, so we'll convert this to dollar. And of course, as everyone now knows, the South Korean won. If you've watched Squid Games, you should be able to do the calculation in your sleep by now. It looks really, really minging from the top. I don't like the sight lines. I don't like the graphics on top, and I really don't like the color scheme. I'm a bit colorblind, but I would say that's kind of like a weird reddish brown mixed with black going into the gold. It looks like a car color that would have been trendy in the 70s, and that's not a compliment. I'm not actually that much of a bling guy. I know, crazy to think. I don't actually mind the gold finish on the bottom and on the face. I almost wish they'd have gone a little bit more daring and just done everything gold. First time I think I've ever said that. Behind the ball, you can see it's a little bit towed in, and when me and Kieran were doing all the B-roll, it also looks like it sits a little bit upright. Now what I mean by that is the toe looks like it's a little bit more in the air. Now if the toe is a little bit more in the air, what? That, I mean, they are two identical slices. When the toe's in the air, what it should do is effectively point the face more to the left because of face plane tilt. Potentially I'm just holding off. Let me just relax. Ooh, that's better. That's right edge of the fairway. Loft-wise 10.5, and I've got a regular 65 gram mid-flex R torque 4.0 shaft. Oh, I'm starting to get the hang of it now. A little buttery fades down there. Sound and feel, actually not too bad. Sounds a little bit tinny, and in amongst these trees, it is echoing around quite a lot. Oh, now we go. Look at that fly, actually. It's got a sneaky long as well. And the club face is really, really tall. And then obviously got the big footprint of the 500cc. It's a slice again, though. I'm not sure about the anti-slice sliceness of this anti-slice driver. Starting to get used to the feel of this a little bit. Apparently this weight is interchangeable in the head. It is a fixed head though, so you can't swap the shafts around. I think you can get it in an 11.5 as well as a 10.5. That's a bit better, isn't it? But of course we need to get the data, so let's head back to the studio and see how this compares to one of the best manufacturers of drivers out there at this moment in time. So the driver we're going to be putting up against the Wazaki is this, the BB21. Now the B21 is a anti-slice driver, so it is towed in a little bit. Like the Wazaki, it's quite deep and long. It's got 40cc less in the club head. I've also got the shaft as close as I can. So this is 60 gram regular, while this is 65 gram regular. Same length. So let's see the difference between a club that was bought on Amazon for 180 quid and the Callaway, which is about 300 quid brand new. So I really, really enjoyed using this Callaway driver when I first got it. Like, generally speaking, I just thought it was really good. And first off the bat, my usual fade is not a usual fade, but it is a pull. Don't think you could get two different looking drivers as well. Yeah, I do really like this Callaway. This Callaway feels a lot more left bias, which obviously in a normal circumstance, that wouldn't be the best thing for me in my game, but for most people who are going to buy these drivers, you know, we want a bit more anti-slice. This has a much bigger offset. Toe is much further in. Yeah, I just feel I can go with this really hard, and it will fade. Okay, onto the Wazaki. Let's see how this does. That's a great feeling strike, actually. Okay, we'll go. Ooh. Spin-wise, I was actually a little bit better. So 2,000 backspin just allowed it to carry a little bit more. 113 clubhead speed, so I'm managing to swing around 114 on average with the B21. Now, one thing I don't have on this driver information on if the face is actually legal as well, because you can make it thin, you can up the core. That's a kind of weird funky one out to the right. Distance wise, all right again? Yeah, it's definitely got a nice spot of carry on it. So COR is coefficient of restitution, which is a measure of how fast the ball comes off the face. And I don't know if this driver is in the legal limits in that regard. It doesn't matter because it's an illegal driver anyway, but yeah, I'm getting used to it a little bit more. I definitely feel that that fade, that draw bias is not as strong with the Wazaki as it is with the B21. I mean, this is calling this an anti-slice driver is pushing it, I'd say. So onto the data and some pretty interesting results actually. So first of all, let's talk about clubhead speed. I was trying to swing exactly the same with both, obviously. The Wazaki came out 114 miles an hour, 0.3, whilst the Callaway was 115.1. So I was almost a mile an hour quicker on the Callaway. You can also see face impact here. I was striking them very similar as well. We see the ball speed quicker with the Wazaki at 164.7 compared to 161.1 with the Callaway. Now, again, this could be something to do with the illegal nature of the driver. Maybe it is coming off a little bit faster than would normally be allowed. I don't know that for sure. But certainly, ball speed-wise, it was just better. Launch angle was a little bit higher. Backspin was a little bit lower. Carry distance with the Wazaki was 285 versus 272. 306 on average total distance with the beautiful gold driver versus 293. So performance-wise, in pretty much the same spec, the only difference between these drivers was that 5 grams in the shaft, and obviously the difference in the head, one being illegally big. We're talking about the driver, which costs a lot less, actually outperforming the Callaway. Now, that's interesting. So the first thing on the Wazaki to figure out, is it an anti-slice driver? Well, looking at the data, it is as much an anti-slice driver as the B21 is an anti-slice driver. On the sim, I tried to get my swing moving a little bit further left, tried to hit down on it a bit more, so to simulate a type of slice swing. And on the sim, it was okay. On the course, probably less so. At the end of the day, if you are slicing the ball, the chances are you're gonna need a lesson and a golf club won't fix it on its own. So I wouldn't call this an anti-slice driver. What I would call it, looking at the data though, I'd call it a decent driver. I mean, I was getting more ball speed, off less swing speed, better launch conditions. The B21 Callaway maybe felt a little bit easier to handle. Had a nice user experience, you'd probably call it. But the data doesn't really show that much of a difference between them. So that is very much just personal preference, I think. Potentially a little bit of personal bias as well when I look down onto the top of these drivers. In a blind test where this was maybe not so gold, and you told me it was a Callaway, I would probably believe you. Now, if you stuck around this far, it is time for the code word. So each month we do a code word in certain videos. All you need to do is get down into those comments below, write down whatever you want, but use the code word, you are gold. Gold, always believe. You don't need to do that last bit, just to go on me. Also, be a subscriber to the channel and like this video. At the end of each month, we do a draw of all the qualifying videos and comments and pick out a winner. Make sure your notifications are turned on because we do go back to the original comment. Yeah, it's interesting really with illegal clubs because If you're not playing in competitions, you can actually get some good illegal clubs which do what they say on the tin. You know, high spinning wedges, for example. Did a video with the Smithworks wedge. I'll leave a link here. And that was a great example how an illegal club really does work. And if you're not playing in a comp and you're just out there for having fun, you know, why not? But let us know what you think. Get down into those comments below. We'll see you next time.